We all need to prioritize our thoughts and our actions, but some people don't know where to start. I have a tried and true filter that's sure to help. Hi, I'm Gina. Welcome to Hope and Cope. Here we explore biblical concepts and essential skills for victorious Christian living, even in the face of extreme hardship. So I developed this new guideline, and it has really helped me, and I'm going to share it with you today. So it is the 3 H's, and I ask myself if this thing is good for or beneficial for my heart, my health, or my household. When I was a young mother, I was really torn about my priorities, and I was also really torn about my value. I struggled a lot with my value since it was just a lot of daily routine and daily chores that were having to be done over and over and over, and it just felt like I was never getting anywhere. So really struggled to know my purpose and my value. And one day when I was at church, the teacher was teaching, and he said something to the effect of, God has a plan for you. And he got kind of, I don't want to say dramatic, but specific. And he pointed at a few different people. And he actually pointed at me and he said, Gina, God has a plan for you. And when he did, I felt like I heard the Lord in my spirit say, my priority for you, your purpose in life, is to raise your daughters. That is your purpose. And from that time on, and I guess my girls were late elementary, early middle school, somewhere in there. From that time on, I really felt like I was much more focused on what I was supposed to be doing. So this helped me tremendously when just a few years later, Rob was going to be starting in his addiction. And so thank God that I was a Christian, that I had already had this revelation that my purpose in life was raising my daughters, so that when this addiction came into my life, I didn't feel like my purpose had changed. Yes, I got a little crazy. Yes, my attention was very distracted, but I still had my foundation of my faith, and I still had my foundation of this purpose that God had put into my life. And that did help somewhat for me to stay somewhere in this parameter and not go too far off the rails. I wonder if you've ever had a moment of clarity that you just feel like something became crystal clear. Maybe you feel like the Lord spoke in your spirit or something like that, where you had been struggling with a lack of direction, and then instantly or quickly, maybe from a dream or a conversation or a song on the radio or a Bible verse you read, then all of a sudden you feel like bam, you know exactly the direction you're supposed to go. If you had a situation like that occur, I'd love for you to share that in the comments. If you're finding this video helpful, please take a minute to hit the like button, subscribe to my channel, and think of someone you could share this with that it might help. So fast forward my life from when I got this revelation about my girls were my purpose, and then beginning to go through this terrible addiction with my husband. Fast forward to the time when I feel like the Lord said that I needed to quit seeking my own life, and I needed to just give my agenda up and relinquish my life to Him and start letting Him be my primary focus instead of trying to rescue my life and rescue my marriage. And I've talked about all that in other videos. If you have not seen them, then I can put a few links in the description box. So I knew once I began to lay my agenda down and start following Jesus, just stay narrowly focused on Jesus and not on my personal desires, I knew that I needed to refocus my mind. So no longer would everything that I had been having in my life, no longer would it now be allowed to be on my to-do list. I knew that my focus was going to shrink. Just intuitively, I knew if all I was going to do was focus on Jesus and letting all these other things go, that I was just going to be reducing a lot of clutter out of my life. So I developed this new guideline, and it has really helped me, and I'm going to share it with you today, and you can see if you feel like that this is a good filter for you, a good guideline for you to run your priorities through and see if they fit with your priorities in life or if they do not. So it is the 3 H's, and I ask myself if this thing is good for or beneficial for my heart, my health, or my household. And I'm getting ready to cover with you what all that means to me. So when I say my heart, I mean my own personal well-being. Is it helpful to me? If you're already struggling with this, I totally get it, because trust me, when my husband was in his addiction, the last thing I wanted to do is worry about what was good for me, what was helpful for me. I felt like to do anything for myself was literally frivolous. I was trying to save my husband, for heaven's sakes. I didn't have time for self-care or to worry about my own specific, individual, personal, essential needs. I just wanted to focus on him. So now I'm starting to try to turn my attention from focusing on saving the marriage and then wanting to focus on Jesus. And so, yes, what was good for me? What was going to... Addiction certainly had taken a hold in my life, and because it's a family disease, I was deeply affected by it. And I really needed to learn some self-care, some basic, essential self-care. One of the things that helped me to start to focus my attention on my own self-care was that I did want to be a good example to my daughters. I knew that they were struggling as well under this new addiction. I knew they were looking to me for stability and looking to me as an example. And I definitely didn't want to be a bad example of self-care. I wanted to show them that I could flourish in spite of their dad's issues. And so that was a huge motivation to me in learning to take care of myself. So now here I am trying to change from a Rob and me and marriage-centered agenda to a Christ-centered agenda. And it is possible to allow yourself to take care of yourself even when you don't want to. We have to stay close to Jesus. We have to make time for that devotional time and that worship. We have to keep our spiritual self going. We have to make it a priority. I know that I really benefited from listening just online to Bible studies and sermons. That was very inspirational to my spirit. And then you have to keep your relationships healthy. It's important to spend time with the people that matter the most to you, that are positive influences in your life. You have to stay in forgiveness. It helps your spirit to be lifted. It helps you to keep a good frame of mind when you keep flowing that forgiveness and you don't let things get bottled up inside of your spirit. And that's where my Serenity Blueprint really is helpful to me. It has an acronym called CALM, and that stands for Control Your Thoughts, Accept Reality, Look to God, and then we're going to maximize forgiveness. And just keeping those things in the front of my mind was very helpful to my person, very helpful to my own personal well-being. Then it was eating healthy, making the best choices I knew how to make. I'm not a dietitian, but just knowing that whole foods, the least processed, is the best kind to have. The closer to nature, the better. So that's just fresh fruits and veggies and meats, and trying to avoid processed foods and sugary things, and to get plenty of water. You know, I really want to emphasize to you to try to control food as a comfort mechanism. We want to enjoy treats occasionally, but focus on balance and portion control and eating on purpose, and not just because you're trying to satisfy some kind of emptiness or because you're bored. And then I want to encourage you to get exercise, and just exercise in a way that suits you. If you like to dance, then dance. If you like to swim, then swim. If it's gardening, whatever it is you like to do, try to be able to get some exercise, take walks. You can find all kinds of amazing exercise programs just right there on YouTube. There's jazzercise and Zumba and just all sorts of things that you can just watch a free YouTube video and try to get some exercise. So try not to limit yourself to thinking you have to go to the gym or you have to walk on a treadmill. There's so many more options nowadays. Don't make unrealistic exercise goals. Do it for however long suits you, And then who knows, you might be able to build momentum on that. It's just about getting started. Do it not because you have to do it because you want to care for yourself. It's just a mind shift to do it because it's a privilege. It's something that you deserve to do. And if you have that mind shift from, oh, I need to exercise, but I don't want to I get to exercise to stay healthy and to be the best person I can be, then that just helps you to not dread to do it so much. And then consider doing it with a buddy. I know doing exercise with a friend is always, there's that accountability, and that's helpful. The next thing I want to encourage you is to get enough sleep. Try to set yourself up for good success with sleep. I have a reminder on my phone that goes off at 8:30 to just start to stay off of my phone. And then right before bed, I try to pray and I focus on scripture and I go through some gratitudes for the day. So just try to set myself up for a good sleep. Don't underestimate the power of good rest. But I just want to encourage you not to eat too soon before bed. My rule of thumb is I try not to eat for 3 or 4 hours before bed. So if I have supper at 6 and go to bed at 10, that is kind of a nice window. You don't want to go to bed with a heavy stomach. That can disrupt your sleep. And then avoid too much stress. Avoid social media. That can cause a lot of stress. Avoid staying too involved in the news or just in stories of people's lives, of things that you have no control over. Try to just take those things in small portions, especially if you bear too much of that onto yourself. Just limit your time on social media, limit your time watching the news. Chronic stress affects your body, it affects your brain, it affects you in so many ways. So you want to manage your stress. You manage your stress through prayer. Of course, I'm going to say again, my Serenity Blueprint was so helpful to me with managing my stress and staying calm. The third H is my household. So what is good for my family? Does it help me focus on my family or does it distract me from my family? And then family activities. You want to have games, you want to have outdoor time, you could read together, you could do family devotionals together, have your meals together. Church activities are always a great family activity to do together. Preparing for things in advance, laying out church clothes, laying out school clothes, getting your snacks together, getting your supplies together the night before school or church, maybe even setting out your clothes for the whole week. All of these things are things that we can do to add structure and organization to our day or to our week. So if you don't have one, I suggest you get a calendar and start to use it. You can use the calendar on your phone. Those are great, honestly, but you just need to make keeping things on your calendar a priority. Set reminders for those things. So those reminders come into your news feed, into your notifications. I set reminders I will set multiple reminders for an event. A week in advance, 3 days in advance, the day before. I set myself lots of reminders so that I don't let something coming up slip out of my consciousness. For me, if things don't fit in the 3 H's, they probably aren't going to make it onto my calendar or take up energy in my mind or heart. My final point is to be kind to yourself. I still don't do things perfectly. I have made lots of mistakes through the years, but at least I had a priority filter that I knew was right for me. It's more of a guideline than a hard rule, so just show yourself some grace. But if these 3 H's work for you, you are welcome to use my priority filter. If this is encouraging to you, but you feel like you still need more clarity, then you can watch my video on simplifying. It's coming up next at the end of this video. So thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. If you haven't yet, please like, comment, and share. Remember, I put out content on Sundays. Remember that I'm praying for you. I love you. And until next time, God bless.